Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Ohrmundt Simmentals. All right, so it's Saturday morning, and it's a spring slop house out here. We got a lot of rain last night, probably like a half an inch, and that's after we got the 8 inches of snow the other day that melted over the week. After we got the 6 or 7 inches of snow a few days earlier than that. So it is wet. So it's a good thing we bedded the cows in the loafing shed. Calves have been kind of in and out of the loafing shed, so that's nice. The only two that didn't really have a great place to go, and that's because the barn is full of new calves, is this 75 bull calf and this 913 bull calf that are right here. But the 913, I did just treat him again. He's got a little bit of the schlitties, but he still seems pretty healthy. He's eating. You can definitely tell that. I got to start the morning out though in the shop. So right after this, I'm going to go into the shop and going to start changing the oil in the 2030. But this guy right here is flipping hilarious. On the camera, he's been in this feeder all night long. And this 913 has been a little bit too, but I come out here and he's standing on top of the bale. He just jumped out. But he is hilarious. I love that guy. So that's actually the one that we're gonna keep as a bull yet, going forward. This 913, we're gonna end up banning him because we're gonna keep that 313 in the back. But I come out, and what do I come out to? And it's him looking like a flippin' billy goat. There is going to need to be some moving and shaking of animals here. So we will see what comes of that. But since everybody is decent in here and out here, everybody is up. Even the one I treated looks better than he did yesterday, and he's heading towards mom for a meal. All right, I got one more thing to check, and then we're gonna head down and go to the shop. And I might jinx myself a little bit, but I am going to take the chains off my four-wheeler. Made it down to the shop. First thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna open the garage door and start this up, let it run for like 10 minutes or something like that. 5-10 minutes, get that oil heated up so it drains out a little nicer. And then kind of get everything set up with what I need. Dad should be down here in a little while. Him and mom had to run some errands this morning, but yep, we'll get this one going. And like I've said before, when we're doing the Mahindra, these are way easier to do than the Mahindra. Everything is wide open. I guess she was a little colder than I thought. One nice thing about having a ceiling fan in the shop, you have the door open and it'll help keep everything down, blow everything out. All right, that's long enough for running it. The block's starting to get warm. I think I'm gonna throw down some oil dry. We thought we had some in here when we did the Mahindra, and we did not. We also didn't think we were gonna make as much of a mess doing the Mahindra, but when you can't even get 5-gallon buckets under the thing, it becomes a little bit of a problem. No issue with that on the 2030 or the 2940. So yeah, so that's warmed up. So I just gotta find a couple of buckets to drain into. I got the owner's manual out. We've done this enough that we don't necessarily need it, but it's nice to have, at least to like double check your capacities. But we have all our owner's manuals out here, except for the 44, because that guy's like this thick with all the stuff that's in that one. Oh, that wasn't tight. And if I hadn't mentioned it yet, this is still the break-in oil from when we had it rebuilt last spring. But we needed about 50 50-ish hours or so. And like I said, since this thing only does raking, we didn't hit that. So we knew we were going to change oil. I mean, we've, maybe put 3 or 4, maybe 5 hours on it since November. And that's about it. So this is a good time to do it. But like I said, the nice thing about having the owner's manual out and available is we can check capacities. We do have all the oil here, but I do have an empty 2-gallon. So I can kind of, instead of having to mess with the 5-gallon bucket, we'll throw some in the 2-gallon jug and go that route. Let's check this out. Where are we at? Fuels and lubricants. Lubrication, periodic service. Let's check specifications. These older manuals are awesome though. They've got, I don't know how they did like the pictures, because these aren't pictures. These are kind of like animation type things. And this is like out of the 70s. But these manuals are a lot nicer. Oh, here we go. Drain refill. 5 quarts. All right, new filter's on, new oil is in. But yeah, it should be all right. I'm gonna fire this up, let it run a little bit, check it, and then we'll do the fuel filter. All right, on to the fuel filter. Sometimes the fuel filter is really easy, and sometimes it gets finicky. It's not changing it. Changing it's super easy. It's just getting the tractor started again because you've drained it of its supply, so it's getting that supply back in there. All right, so this is really just a spring. You just push and lift, and then just jiggle it down. There we go. So yeah, it's not a super messy process at all. There we go. There's O-rings right where it seals. They have, at those 3 locations, they have sealing O-rings. They honestly look like castrating bands. Just making sure it's seated decent, which it looks like. All right, the next on the list is priming. We got to fill this guy up. Now, yeah, you probably could pre-fill this, but there is a primer on it. So there's a little tab. What is this, the lifter pump or whatever? So there's a little tab right here, and you can manually just move it back and forth, and it'll pump fuel. So I'll be doing this for about 5 minutes, and I'll bring you back. All right, not sure if you'll see it, but this is full. You got that red tint, so that is the dyed diesel fuel. That wasn't too bad. Back at the farm, 2030 is oil changed, fuel filter changed. It's all greased up. Had to put a little air in the front tires. That's been quite a while. And kind of checked it all over. Everything is right where it needs to be. So we were actually talking about what we could do with this tractor more. We might adjust the tires on this thing and possibly look at using this as our corn plant tractor. All right, so what we're gonna do, took a little bit of a lunch, and what we're gonna do now is, we've done this before, and we're gonna try it again, see how it works, because one of our issues is obviously we don't have space in the barn, so we need to somehow create space. Well, how do you create space out of nothing? Well, those calves in the loafing shed, they don't need the entire loafing shed. They probably don't need half the loafing shed. We're going to grab some panels and we're going to divide up that loafing shed and take at least a third of it, if not half of it. Then the other thing that we'll have to do is go in that back pen, and this is part of the reason why we don't do this. Taking that back pen and trying to divide up that water, we don't have a good way to do that. But however we set it up, we're gonna try and set it up today. That way we can get cycle a couple more pairs back without putting them into the loafing shed. We're gonna solve a problem with dividing this up that'll give us a little breathing room on doing north of the border today. But it helps us with the two calves that are outside. They can go back in, or at least be able to get back in and all that good stuff. And we're gonna end up processing a couple of calves to be able to do this and all that stuff. So everything we do, we're doing for the calves and trying to keep everybody healthy, especially with this crappy weather. So this first bale we're throwing out is for bedding. And this is actually a really good candidate for bedding. There's like some old, it's like old marsh grass and stuff, so on the bottom that stuff gets really stemmy. If you can bale that stuff nice and green, the cows like it, but when it gets really stemmy like that, they definitely don't like it. Just for reference, why stuff doesn't really drain real well. So down here at the tip, down by that just past that power pole, is the low point where the water does collect. Well, from where I'm standing to where the water is, there's only about maybe a foot drop, and that's about 150 yards to the lowest point. So it does not drain well. It drains very slowly. All right, so we're in the loafing shed, and we divvied this thing up. Not quite a third, not quite half, but plenty of room for at least two pair. And then I'll feed them hay for now in the long shed, which is, just through this opening. So we're gonna let those two pair come through. They can hang out, and then we'll start working on trying to divvy up the water tank. Got one, two. All right, so we didn't get you at a good angle to watch that, which is fine because kind of a show, right?
Right.
So you can kind of see goggle gergs. But what we do is I've got a newer trimmer, one that's actually made for like dogs, and we'll trim around the spot where his little horn butt is, and then there's dehorning paste, And what you do is you just kind of take the end of that tube and you scratch the spot, kind of like if you're just like scratching a mosquito bite type of thing, just to scuff the skin. And then you put about a dime size spot just so you cover the bud. And then we put duct tape on it, and this is orange tape obviously, but we'll leave that on just overnight, because what'll happen is mom will go there and they'll lick it all off. Well, we've had it where they lick it off and then you get some crazy stub of a horn or some stupid thing. So we thought of that a couple years ago and put a little chunk of tape over it and leave it for a day, and we pull it off and good as gold. All right, it has been a busy last hour or so, just trying to get everybody situated, get that pen in the back divvied up. So we have 3 pairs in the back half of the loafing shed. There's still more than enough room for those calves in the loafing shed area back there, to come in, get out of the rain, get out of the wind and all that stuff. There's more than enough room in there. And then between the back half of the loafing shed and the long pen, there's plenty of room for 3 pairs. Ran everybody else through. Everybody got processed from the last couple days. You'll see Goggle Gergs is in the green gate pen, and then we put the 2 Flex, Helga and Deja, in the very back because they're a little bit smaller. Helga just kind of, she is a Goggle Gergs is just a big cow. I'd say she's probably in that 1,600 pound range. She's a good sized girl. So we put her in the green gate pen, put the other 2 that are a little smaller in the back pen. I'm gonna start filling up water, and I'll show you kind of what we did for that back pen. And I'm keeping my eye on this little 913 bull that's out here. He's the one that I've been treating the last couple days with some scour pills. They tend to work really nice, but with the weather, gotta stay on top of it. He likes laying over by that bale feeder, and if he lays down by that bale feeder, he's gonna get locked up in the barn. All right, so what did we do? And hopefully you guys can see it. So we've got 2 panels angling off here, and they're chained there. Okay, so the guys in the loafing shed, like this girl right here, they can come in here, they can come in this little part of the barn, and then they can get at the water tank right here. So then that is solid elm, this vertical right here. I was literally making screws smoke as I was putting them in. Then to stiffen that up, we ran a board here to right here. So we ran it this way. And then to kind of stiffen it up like this way so it doesn't kick out, we ran this angle. It looks stupid as hell, but it works. It does. And here you guys can get a good look at the tape job. So then tomorrow I'll try and get the tape off, or sometimes mom will lick it off. We just like to be able to let it sit on there for even just a couple hours, let it do its thing before mom tries to lick it off. But it just eats that little bud away because that bud is so soft. Yeah, we could do the same thing we did with that steer, let the horns grow, band them, but then they're gone. They look great. He should be fine, totally fine. It's about as painful as getting banded, which he got banded too. And honestly, he was only 96 pounds. I was figuring he was about 110, but that boy's got some leg on him. Deja's heifer was 88, and then Helga's bull was, he was what, 85. And Dad had a hell of a time finding his other little, his other little giblet. Just had a bugger of a time finding it. It was like he was trying to store that nut away for winter or something. All right, so we threw a bunch more bedding in here. Cows will eat half of it, of course. But God, I love the spirit of this dude. He is happy-go-lucky, having fun. And that's what having fun does for you. He's all right. He's right here. But I did bring 913 back in. He was over by the bale feeder yet. So I brought him in here, kicked Mom in here, and that's a really good sign. He's getting a good meal. So with the weather and treating him, he'll pull through just fine. I'm confident of it. It's just we need some dry days. That's the problem. And it's not going to happen tomorrow, because tomorrow they're talking 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice. But there's fresh bedding in here. He's already taken advantage of it. And I don't think he's going to go running around 913's head anymore. Yeah, that was kind of funny. That happens. We just got to keep an eye on Goggle Gergs. We had to pill him. That steer, we had to pill him. He had the runs, so at least it looks like he probably had a meal, but he's got the runs pretty good, so we pilled him too. And he's still pretty spunky. I mean, he's trotting around the pen. Those frickin' gazelle legs on him. I was supposed to go buy a refrigerator, but the place we decided we were going to get one from, they closed about 5 minutes ago. So we missed out on that for today, but that's all right. So I'm going to try and keep my other promise to my wife for the evening. So off to Merrill we go. Not a whole lot, but Tractor Supply is up there, but we're not going to Tractor Supply. I'll give Dad props. And I told him he was right. We had 2 major things. I said, we got to get this north of the border cleaned, which we do. And he said, well, that doesn't solve our issue of getting animals moved around. So we opted to work on that first. It probably was. It is more important that we got those guys moved around and gave those guys, especially these 2 guys that were outside, a place to get out of the weather, out of the rain, and warm up and dry off. So they will probably be very thankful. That's enough for today. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.